Welcome back. In this video we're going to take a look at adding in the hair for our character. Now when we look at it we can see where we have this back piece of hair, the ponytail, which really has a main section to it and then three parts. Then we have the main kind of body of hair that covers the head. We have the bangs. When we look at the bangs, which then have these lines on them, so we're going to be able to kind of work with that. So our setup is the hair with the three parts, the main body of the hair, and the bangs. So we're going to add to that by breaking these down into pieces. So with what I've done, again, is created my artwork ahead of time. So we can activate that comp. And now I have one back piece here, which we can see there is the shape. And as we're working on this, what we are going to do is just turn off all of this temporarily. So we'll just disable the face. We will need the face in a minute because the face is going to be used for cutting out and maintaining the shapes, but we'll come back to that. Now we have this piece here, this piece here. So those are the three parts, and by separating them out like this as three separate pieces that we will join with cross-cutting, then it allows us to much more easily animate them to add a little bit of kind of excitement to the hair when we're working. And then we have the main section of the hair. So we have these parts that we're working with. And now if we look over here, what I'm going to do is use this large shape and cut it with the head. And as we move it around, we're going to take and merge this shape here with this shape here. So we'll cross-cut those to eliminate the lines, but then as we move them around, that will allow us to be able to slide it as needed using the head shape as a cutter for it, and then we can move that shape across. So if we need to make the or extend this out a little bit more, that would certainly be an option. But if we look here, we're kind of cutting down across, towards the sideburn area, and then continuing down towards where the ear is. Now as I'm looking at the shape a little bit more, I think what I might want to do is just extend that down instead, so we will adjust that. But the good part is once we get it in, we have kind of unlimited flexibility of how we want it to go. But then that shape, really, if we move it around, can become, the two parts can join to form the back. So we'll figure it out as we work with it. Now we have our bangs, the main bang shape, and then we have the lines that will sit on top for that, so we'll need to trim those with the shape of the bangs, so that will be easy enough. So right now, let's just disable those two pieces, and we come back into the hair here. And what we're going to want to do is to join these with cross-cutting, and we can do that in our library. We have our three-part joint, which we'll be noticing, well, there's four parts here, so we'll be extending it into a four-part, but that gives us a pretty good starting point on it. So we can use that as our beginning part while we work with it. So now we want to transform this from a three-part where these three, so this needs to join with this needs to cross-cut with this, and then they all are cross-cutting with the main one, so then that eliminates the lines, but we can just move them around with impunity. So when we open it up, we can see right now we have a 3-part. Now within the hair is set up where it just has line and color. There's no overlay or underlay. So the first thing that I will do to clean this up to make it a little bit easier to track is just get rid of those nodes that we're not using so that we have it a little bit cleaner. So what I want to do is to get, so right now this would be set up for an arm. So we have, this is the middle part of the arm here. You know, it's the lower arm that, so if we connect our parts in, and oh, I just realized, kind of goofed when I deleted. I should have done it slightly different. So let's just grab a fresh one in. This is also why it's really nice if you save something as a template so you can work with it. What I should do first is just cut these so they don't, because otherwise then those nodes stayed there and then that created some issues. So now we can get rid of the cutter. So now that is not connected, that's not connected, that. So now they're not connected to anything. So now we have our 3 parts. That works much. That's much cleaner looking instead of having where suddenly it left all those additional multi-port in ports. So right now we have, if we treat this as a 3-part joint, so this is like an arm, so we want this to join with this to join with this. So we have those 3 that are happening on it. And if we do that, so we have hair back is the main one. So now what I can do is just simply put each one of these into the inputs, and if I just disable this, we'll see how they join together perfectly. So then that's good there. So now we just need to make this able to cross-cut with these. So we need a 4th input into it. So what we can do is just, oh wait, no, first we have to add it on the inside. So we have to add in one more item on it. So what I need to do is to create one more section for that. So what we can do is copy this, paste, and this will be for the main hair. So I can drag that out there and drag this up here, and that now creates that additional input. So now I have the input and output for it. One thing that we do need to remember is this, not vector, pass through. This particular template, when I made it, I was forgetting to set all my comps as pass through. So we do need to modify that now. So now I have my comp set as pass through, and I want to cut this with the auto patch of the other layers here. So to do all 3 at once, we'll just add in one more comp, and now drag in auto patch, and finally auto patch. And now that is going to be my cut for this. Exit out of here, attach the main hair here, and put it down here, and Whoop, wrong button. There we go. It's now connected. So we've now connected in and joined those parts in. So we're in good shape there. What I want to do is just move this down a little bit so we have room for deformers and pegs. So adding in here, when we have this, click on my tool. Let's verify we are on envelope deformer. We are. So we can add in our different deformer pieces. I think I'm okay with those extending down. That needs to move up and be a little shorter and a little shorter. Doesn't matter really if it goes there, but that's going to give me more control. Whoop, did not want to add a new point. Wanted to set that up. All right, so now we have the deformer for the hair back. And I like my pegs without the word deformer in it, so it's easier to add them and then add my deformer. So now we have hair back 1, which is this shape. So these pieces on the hair, we probably are going to be able to just use a curved deformer. I think that'll be, from an animation standpoint, makes the most sense. So what I can do is just simply add this in here. So if we add too many points, it's hard to control. Too few points again. So I'm going to just follow that curve, go back here, and now with that selected, rigging tool, and finally my final one here. I'm putting that first point inside the hair because then that way when we do choose to animate with it, yeah, we can very easily and quickly adjust that, move it. So again, we have to watch how we're working with it for how it's going to adjust or break the line. So sometimes, if we do too much, it's problematic. So most of the time I'm anticipating, if we were to be animating with this, that we would just be setting it up with there we go. So we can always reset our deform by clicking here, and it resets it to the initial pose where it's not distorted. So most of the time we might even just be setting up and just rigging it. Well, got to set our pivot points here so that they're actually useful. So go grab my transform. So set a pivot point there. Just going to say show me all of those controls so I can see where I want to put it. Now if I click here, I'm going to put that there. Let's go back to this one. I don't want to put it on that point because otherwise, if those points are on top, experience has taught me that that does not work really well because it's hard to select the one you're looking for when it's active. And now I'll put that right there. So that now sets all of those up. Turn that off so it's less ugly. Select these. Order it across so they're all in alignment, but now let's just move them over a little bit more so they looks like we might need to adjust the size of our backdrop so we have a little more room to work with, or move that over, move all of these over so they stay inside. Now let's go. Just turn that off for now. Turn that back on. So what we want to do here is we'll just do a simple cross cut with these. Let's see, did I have two-part joint? Hey, there we go. There's a simple cross cut to join these together on it. So that works out well there. Go into it, of course, fix these as pass-throughs. So those are now pass-through. And put them in, and now we can see how the hair has joined up. So that's fantastic there. But now we want the hair to get cut by the auto patch of the head. So we'll add in a cutter here. And now with this, we need an auto patch layer. So go grab an auto patch, but it's going to connect in as our mat. Just pull it up here so there's room for it. I'm going to just rename this head AP. Now, if we go on to the face, reactivate the face so it's there. Here is, so we want to grab from that composite, which is going to be the head and chin. Let's go over to here. So I selected it, now I can just hold down Alt, click into that, and now it joins it in and grabs the auto patch of it and sets it up. Currently we can see it's now kicking out. If we double click, and it's, but it made it disappear. So what we are going to do instead is grab the head, and so not the composite, just the head. Alt click, and that now gives us the correct cut. Now our bangs, when we look at the bangs, what we need to do to wrap up the bangs is we just need to set it up. Let's just pull this down here a little bit so we have some room. We're going to need a cutter and an auto patch. So what I can do is just simply select those two, copy paste, pull them in a little tighter, and we'll just rename this one to Bangs Auto Patch. Drag that in there, drag this in here, all right, and then drag this over, and now it trims it. So that sets that up for us nicely. Now what we can do is just simply add in our pegs for these parts. We need some pegs for these. And we'll have Bangs Master that will control that. So then those will be set up. So let's go and set those pivot points. So, and the bangs, well, for that matter, I think all three of those can just share the same point right down here. That makes sense. Hair left, hair right, and then we'll join those with that. So we probably don't. Let's see, we'll want a hair back master peg here. So I'll add one more because I want it so I can just grab that, put it about where the ponytail is there, turn that on. Okay, so now we have our different hair pieces. We'll just name this one hair, head, P. So that sets that up. So now we have all of our, got more room, I'll just put it down there. So that now sets up our hair with it, so we can move those around. Looking at the bangs here, looks like the bangs would probably need a deformer to reshape it, and we will set up quarter front and profile views where we modify the line on it so it's not a continuous line. That'll be the easiest way to do it, so that when we're rotating views, when we get all the way to a quarter, we'll switch which drawing we're using, doing a drawing substitution. So the bangs, looks like we'll grab our rigging tool. I think last time we might have been, yep. So we'll want to set it up this way. And close it out, zoom in. Because the lines are separate from it, as we change the shape of this, it won't modify those lines, so then that will be useful as we're working with it there. Just need to pull that up so we have enough room to see that. Slide that over. Okay, so I think that takes care of the hair, and next we'll take a look at the eyes. Good luck and happy